Welcome back to a new episode of Learn English Through Stories, where language learning meets captivating biography. Today, we embark on an exploration of one of the most polarizing personalities in modern times, Elon Musk. Before we begin, I would kindly ask you to consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video, but only if you find these videos helpful. A small boy stared at the night sky in South Africa, dreaming of rockets and space travel. Little did the world know that this quiet, bookish child would one day revolutionize space travel, electric cars, and possibly the future of humanity itself. Grab your headphones and get comfortable. You're about to improve your English while discovering the incredible life story of one of the most fascinating entrepreneurs of our time. Elon Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. Can you imagine growing up during the final decades of apartheid? This was Elon's reality. His father, Errol, was an engineer, and his mother, May, worked as a model and nutritionist. From an early age, Elon showed unusual qualities that set him apart from other children. "Mom, can I have another book?" the young Elon would often ask. By the time he was 9 years old, he had read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica. Imagine that! While most kids were playing outside, Elon was lost in books about rockets, electricity, and computers. But Elon's childhood wasn't easy. His parents divorced when he was only 9 years old. Elon chose to live with his father, a decision he would later regret. School life presented even greater challenges. Smaller and more interested in books than sports, young Elon became a target for bullies. "Look at the nerd with his head in the clouds," they would taunt. One day, a group of boys pushed Elon down a concrete staircase, beating him so badly that he needed hospital treatment. Picture this: a bruised and battered young boy lying in a hospital bed, not defeated, but already thinking about a future far beyond the walls of his school. At age 10, Elon received his first computer, a Commodore VIC-20. Are you ready for this? Within just 3 days, he had taught himself programming. By age 12, he created his first video game called Blastar and sold it to a computer magazine for about $500. This was just the beginning of his journey into technology. As a teenager, Elon dreamed of leaving South Africa. He felt drawn to America, the land of innovation and opportunity. That's where great things are possible, he thought to himself. When Elon was 17, he made a decisive move. Using his Canadian citizenship through his mother, he left South Africa behind and moved to Canada. This was his first step toward his ultimate destination, the United States. Hold on tight. The shy boy, with a science fiction obsession, was about to embark on a journey that would transform him from an awkward immigrant into one of the world's most influential innovators. But before the electric cars and the rockets to Mars, Elon would need to learn some harsh lessons about life, money, and what it truly means to start from nothing. Arriving in Canada with barely any money in his pocket, young Elon faced his first taste of adult independence. Can you imagine moving to a new country at 17 with almost nothing to your name? Elon stayed with relatives briefly before setting out on his own path. "I'm not afraid of hard work," he told himself as he took on odd jobs. From cleaning boilers to cutting logs, Elon did whatever he could to survive. These weren't glamorous jobs, but they taught him the value of persistence. After 2 years in Canada, Elon enrolled at Queen's University in Ontario. Always thinking ahead, he knew this was just a stepping stone. His real goal? Transfer to an American university. In 1992, Elon achieved that dream when he received a scholarship to the University of Pennsylvania. Picture this: a young man far from home, walking onto an Ivy League campus, eyes wide with determination. He would go on to earn not one, but 2 bachelor's degrees in physics and economics. During his college years, Elon and a friend rented a large house and turned it into an unofficial nightclub. Would you believe they sometimes hosted up to 500 students in a single night? This entrepreneurial side hustle helped pay the rent, but Elon's mind was already focused on bigger ideas. By 1995, Elon had been accepted into a PhD program in energy physics at Stanford University, a prestigious opportunity most would eagerly embrace. But fate had other plans. After just 2 days at Stanford, Elon made a decision that would change everything. "I need to leave," he told his advisor. The internet boom was taking off, and Elon couldn't ignore it. He dropped out of Stanford to chase a bigger dream. With his brother Kimball, Elon founded his first company, Zip2. This was a city guide software for newspapers. Think of it as an early version of Google Maps and Yelp combined. The early days of Zip2 were anything but luxurious. Hold on to your seats. Elon couldn't afford an apartment, so he slept on the office couch and showered at a local YMCA. During the day, he coded. At night, the office became his home. "We'll make this work or die trying," he told his brother during the toughest times. And make it work they did. In 1999, Compaq Computer bought Zip2 for nearly $300 million. Elon's share? A cool $22 million. At just 27 years old, the former South African immigrant was now a millionaire. But if you think Elon took his millions and relaxed on a beach somewhere, you don't know Elon Musk. Instead of buying mansions or luxury cars, he immediately poured almost all of his new fortune into his next venture. Are you ready to see what happens when a physics-obsessed entrepreneur takes on the banking industry? Elon's next creation would challenge the very foundation of how money moves around the world and set him on a collision course with some of the most powerful people in Silicon Valley. The quiet boy from South Africa was just getting started, and his most difficult challenges were still ahead. With millions in his bank account, most people would take a break. Not Elon Musk. Before the ink had dried on the Zip2 sale documents, he was already planning his next big move to revolutionize the banking industry. In March 1999, Elon founded X.com, one of the world's first online banks. Can you believe how forward-thinking this was? Remember, this was a time when most people were still nervous about using their credit cards on the internet. Banking is going digital, whether traditional banks like it or not, Elon told his new team. He invested 10 million of his own money into X.com, putting almost everything he had earned from Zip2 at risk. X.com grew quickly, attracting thousands of customers who were excited about internet banking. But Elon wasn't the only entrepreneur with big ideas for online money. A competing company called Confinity had created a service called PayPal, which let people email money to each other. Rather than fight each other, the two companies decided to join forces. In 2000, X.com and Confinity merged. At first, Elon was named the CEO of the combined company. But trouble was brewing. Picture this: a room full of brilliant but stubborn entrepreneurs, each with their own vision for the company's future. Tension filled the boardroom as disagreements mounted. While Elon was on a rare vacation, the board made a shocking move. They replaced him as CEO. They also changed the company's name from X.com to PayPal. How would you feel if the company you created pushed you out? Despite this painful setback, Elon remained the largest shareholder of PayPal. This turned out to be a smart position when, in 2002, eBay purchased PayPal for $1.5 billion. Elon's share? A massive $180 million. At just 31 years old, Elon had now helped create and sell two tech companies worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He had more money than most people could ever dream of spending. What does someone do after making so much money, you might ask? Buy islands? Collect sports teams? Retire to a life of luxury? Not Elon Musk. Hold tight, because what came next reveals the true ambition of the man, and it wasn't about making more money. It was about changing the course of humanity itself. With his newfound wealth, Elon was ready to tackle the childhood dreams that had never left him: space travel and sustainable energy. But the journey from internet millionaire to rocket builder would prove more difficult and dangerous than anyone could have imagined. And it would nearly cost Elon everything he had. What do you do with 180 million? While most tech entrepreneurs were focused on the next social network or smartphone app, Elon Musk was looking to the stars. In 2002, he founded Space Exploration Technologies, or SpaceX. The goal seemed almost laughably ambitious: make space travel more affordable by building reusable rockets. Many experts called it impossible. After all, even wealthy nations struggled with rocket science. Space is hard, NASA veterans warned him. But Elon was convinced he could do what governments had failed to accomplish: drastically reduce the cost of reaching orbit. To understand Elon's vision, picture this. Traditional rockets work like expensive airplanes that are destroyed after a single flight. Imagine if you had to build a new Boeing 747 for every trip across the Atlantic. That's essentially how space travel worked. Elon invested $100 million, more than half of his PayPal fortune, into SpaceX. Are you surprised by such a risky move? Many thought he had lost his mind. To save money, SpaceX took a different approach from established aerospace companies. Instead of outsourcing parts to hundreds of suppliers, they decided to build almost everything in-house. "We need to control the entire process," Elon insisted as he hired some of the brightest engineers in the country. He set up shop in a large warehouse in Hawthorne, California, not far from Los Angeles International Airport. But building rockets is monumentally difficult. The team worked day and night, often sleeping at the factory. Elon himself worked 100-hour weeks, learning rocket engineering alongside his team. The first rocket they developed was called the Falcon 1. Small by industry standards, it was designed to carry satellites into orbit at a fraction of the usual cost. But would it actually work? In March 2006, the first Falcon 1 rocket took off from Kwajalein Atoll in the Pacific Ocean. Hold your breath. 33 seconds into flight, a fuel leak caused a fire and the rocket crashed into the ocean. Failure number 1. Undeterred, the SpaceX team built a second rocket. In March 2007, they tried again. This time, the first stage worked perfectly, but the second stage spun out of control. Failure number 2. By the summer of 2008, SpaceX was in serious trouble. They had enough money for only one more launch attempt. Elon's personal fortune was nearly gone as he kept pouring money into both SpaceX and his other new venture, Tesla Motors. "We either succeed with this launch or we're finished," Elon told his exhausted team as they prepared for their third attempt. In August 2008, with everything on the line, the third Falcon 1 rocket soared upward from the launch pad. It cleared the first stage successfully. The second stage ignited correctly. But then, disaster struck again. The first and second stages collided due to unexpected residual thrust. Failure number 3. With money running out and 3 failed launches, most people would have given up. But giving up wasn't in Elon's vocabulary. Can you imagine the pressure he faced? "One more try," he insisted, scraping together the last of his resources for a fourth launch attempt. On September 28, 2008, the fourth Falcon 1 rocket lifted off. This time, it worked perfectly. The Falcon 1 successfully reached orbit, making SpaceX the first privately funded company to put a liquid-fueled rocket into orbit around Earth. The impossible had been accomplished. But this success came with a heavy price tag. Elon was nearly bankrupt, with barely enough money left to make payroll. And while SpaceX had proven the critics wrong, the company was still far from financially stable. As 2008 drew to a close, both SpaceX and Elon's other big venture, Tesla Motors, were dangling by financial threads. Would the man who had already revolutionized online payments now lose everything in his quest to revolutionize space travel and electric cars? The next chapter in Elon's life would test his resilience like never before. While Elon was launching rockets with SpaceX, he was simultaneously trying to revolutionize another industry, automobiles. Can you imagine running 2 groundbreaking companies at the same time? This is exactly what Elon Musk was doing. In 2004, Elon met with 2 engineers, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, who had started a small company called Tesla Motors. Their vision? To create beautiful electric cars that people would actually want to drive. Electric cars don't have to be slow or ugly, Martin explained to Elon. This vision resonated deeply with Elon, who had long been concerned about climate change and the world's dependence on fossil fuels. Impressed by their prototype, Elon invested $6.5 million and became Tesla's largest shareholder and chairman. While he wasn't initially involved in daily operations, his influence on the company would soon grow dramatically. The first Tesla car, the Roadster, was a sleek electric sports car that could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds. Picture this: a car with no gasoline engine running silently on batteries, yet outperforming many traditional sports cars. It was revolutionary. But building cars, like building rockets, proved incredibly difficult. The Roadster faced delay after delay. Costs skyrocketed. By 2007, Tesla was in serious financial trouble. Tensions rose between Elon and Tesla's CEO, Martin Eberhard. "We're spending too much without solving the engineering problems," Elon argued during heated board meetings. Eventually, the board sided with Elon and removed Eberhard as CEO. After a brief period with an interim CEO, Elon took over as CEO of Tesla in October 2008. Hold on tight. This was the same month when SpaceX had just barely succeeded with its 4th launch attempt. Elon was now the CEO of 2 incredibly challenging companies at once. And the timing couldn't have been worse. The global financial crisis of 2008 was in full swing. Investments dried up. Major car companies like General Motors were on the verge of bankruptcy. Who would invest in a small electric car startup during such times? By December 2008, both Tesla and SpaceX were running out of money. Elon faced a heartbreaking choice. Let one company die to save the other, or risk losing both. I could either keep the money I had left and let Tesla die, or invest everything and probably lose it all, Elon later recalled. What would you do in his position? In a move that shocked many, Elon decided to invest his last remaining money, about $40 million, into Tesla. He even had to borrow money from friends to pay his rent. "We're just weeks away from bankruptcy," he confessed to Tesla employees as he pushed them to deliver the first Roadsters to customers. The entire team worked around the clock, sleeping in the factory and making last-minute fixes to cars. Then, on December 23, 2008, just 2 days before Christmas, a miracle happened. Are you ready for this twist? Tesla secured a $40 million investment from existing investors. The company would survive, for now. 3 days later, SpaceX received incredible news as well. NASA had selected them for a $1.6 billion contract to deliver supplies to the International Space Station. In the span of 1 week, both of Elon's companies had been saved from the brink of disaster. But Tesla's journey was just beginning. The Roadster was a limited production sports car. Impressive, but not a mass-market vehicle. To truly change the automotive industry, Tesla would need to create cars that ordinary people could afford. As 2009 dawned, Elon set his sights on an even more ambitious goal: building a premium electric sedan for the broader market. This car would eventually be called the Moon Doe S. But between Tesla's shaky finances and the continuing global recession, many doubted whether Tesla would survive long enough to produce even one more car model. The boy who once dreamed of the future while gazing at the stars in South Africa was now fighting with everything he had to create that future. And his greatest business challenges and triumphs were still to come. The year 2009 began with Tesla hanging by a thread. While the company had narrowly avoided bankruptcy, they needed much more money to develop the Moon Doe S sedan. Where would it come from? In May 2009, a surprising lifeline appeared. German automaker Daimler, the parent company of Mercedes-Benz, invested $50 million in Tesla for a 10% stake. Can you imagine how this vote of confidence from one of the world's oldest car companies felt for Tesla? This partnership validates our technology, Elon told reporters, trying to hide his relief. Behind closed doors, he knew the money would only last a few months. Elon took a bold gamble. He applied for a loan from the United States Department of Energy, which had created a program to support advanced vehicle technology. Many critics laughed at the idea of the government lending money to a struggling electric car startup. But in June 2009, Tesla received approval for a $465 million loan from the Department of Energy. This was the financial breathing room the company desperately needed. Now secure, Tesla purchased a former Toyota GM factory in Fremont, California, for the surprisingly low price of $42 million. Picture this enormous, empty factory, large enough to produce hundreds of thousands of cars per year, sitting quiet and abandoned until Tesla brought it back to life. With funding secured and a factory in place, Tesla focused on developing the Moon Doe S. This wasn't just another electric car. It was designed to be the best car in the world that happened to be electric. In June 2010, another milestone, Tesla became a publicly traded company on the stock market. Its initial public offering, IPO, raised $226 million. Many investors remained skeptical, though. One prominent financial analyst predicted, Tesla will never make a mass market car. Hold on to your seats. Despite securing funding, the next 2 years were a rollercoaster of challenges. Building a car company from scratch proved even harder than expected. By 2012, pressure was mounting. Tesla needed to deliver the Moon Doe S to customers or face financial ruin. Elon pushed his team harder than ever. Every part of this car needs to be exceptional, he insisted during late-night factory inspections. His attention to detail bordered on obsession as he demanded changes to everything from door handles to seat cushions. On June 22, 2012, Tesla delivered the first Moon Doe sedans to customers. The car received glowing reviews. Motor Trend magazine named it Car of the Year. Consumer Reports gave it their highest rating ever, 99 out of 100 points. But the path forward remained difficult. Tesla was still losing money on every car it sold. Production was slow and filled with quality problems. And a new threat emerged: negative press. In February 2013, the New York Times published a highly critical review of the Moon Doe S, claiming the car ran out of battery during a test drive. How would you respond to such negative publicity? Elon fought back with data. Tesla had secretly logged all driving data from the test car, which showed the reporter hadn't followed the agreed testing protocol. Elon published this data online, challenging the newspaper's integrity. This bold move showed another side of Elon, his willingness to fight fiercely when he believed he was right. The controversy actually increased public interest in Tesla. As 2013 progressed, Tesla finally turned a corner. Production of the Moon Doe S increased steadily. In May, Tesla reported its first ever quarterly profit. And in an extraordinary gesture of confidence, Elon announced that Tesla had repaid its entire $465 million government loan 9 years early. Tesla's stock price soared. By the end of 2013, it had increased more than 300% in a single year. Many of the investors who had bet against Tesla lost millions. The quiet boy who once read science fiction books in South Africa had created not just a car, but a movement. Tesla wasn't just selling vehicles, it was changing how people thought about transportation. But success brought new challenges. As Tesla grew from underdog to industry leader, Elon's other companies required his attention too. SpaceX was making remarkable progress with its rockets. And a new venture was forming in Elon's mind, one that would connect all his companies under a single vision for humanity's future. Are you ready to see how far his ambitions would reach? While Tesla was fighting for survival, Elon's other company, SpaceX, was making history of its own. Remember that crucial NASA contract from 2008? Now SpaceX had to deliver on its promise to transport cargo to the International Space Station. To fulfill this mission, SpaceX developed a larger rocket called the Falcon 9, along with a spacecraft named Dragon. Can you imagine the complexity of building a spacecraft that could dock with the International Space Station? This was rocket science in its truest form. In June 2010, SpaceX successfully launched its first Falcon 9 rocket. But the real test would come 2 years later. On May 22, 2012, a Falcon 9 rocket blasted off from Cape Canaveral, Florida, carrying the Dragon spacecraft. Its destination? The International Space Station, orbiting 250 miles above Earth. This mission will be attempted in only a handful of minutes, but if successful, it will create history, Elon told his team as they watched nervously from mission control. 3 days later, Dragon approached the space station. Astronauts aboard the station used a robotic arm to capture the spacecraft and pull it in for docking. Success. Dragon had become the first commercially built spacecraft to dock with the International Space Station. Hold your breath. This achievement was revolutionary. Before SpaceX, only powerful government agencies like NASA, Roscosmos, Russia, and the European Space Agency had ever accomplished such a feat. Now a private company had joined that exclusive club. But Elon wasn't satisfied. His original vision for SpaceX included reusable rockets that could land back on Earth after launching. Many aerospace experts called this impossible. Rockets are meant to be expendable, they insisted. Elon disagreed. Throughout 2013 and 2014, SpaceX conducted test flights with experimental rockets designed to land upright after launch. Picture this incredible sight: a rocket booster falling from the sky, firing its engines at the last moment, extending landing legs, and touching down gently on a landing pad. The first attempts all ended in crashes, some spectacular explosions, that Elon later compiled into a humorous video he called "How Not to Land an Orbital Rocket." But with each failure, the SpaceX team learned valuable lessons. On December 21, 2015, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 rocket carrying 11 satellites. After the second stage continued to orbit, the first stage booster turned around and headed back to Earth. Are you ready for what happened next? The rocket descended through the atmosphere, fired its engines to slow down, deployed its landing legs, and touched down perfectly at Cape Canaveral. For the first time in history, an orbital-class rocket had returned from space and landed intact. SpaceX employees erupted in wild celebration. "USA! USA!" they chanted, as Elon smiled with relief and pride. This wasn't just a victory for SpaceX, it was a milestone for humanity's future in space. In April 2016, SpaceX achieved another first, landing a rocket on a floating platform in the ocean. This was even more difficult than landing on solid ground. The platform, playfully named "Of Course I Still Love You," moved with the ocean waves. Landing on it was like trying to jump onto a moving skateboard. With each successful landing, the cost of access to space dropped dramatically. Suddenly, Elon's dream of making space travel affordable seemed possible. But cheaper rockets were just a stepping stone to Elon's true goal. In September 2016, at the International Astronautical Congress in Mexico, Elon revealed his grand vision: sending humans to Mars to establish a permanent colony. "I want to die on Mars," he told the audience. "Just not on impact." The audience laughed, but Elon was serious about his mission. To achieve this, SpaceX began developing an enormous new rocket system called the Big Falcon rocket, later renamed Starship. This massive vehicle would be capable of carrying up to 100 people to Mars. Many called Elon's Mars plans crazy or impossible. But after watching SpaceX achieve the impossible feat of landing orbital rockets, fewer people were willing to bet against him. Meanwhile, as SpaceX was revolutionizing space travel, Tesla was about to enter its next phase of growth, one that would transform it from a luxury car maker into something much bigger. The quiet boy who once read science fiction books in South Africa was now building the future he had dreamed about. And he was far from finished. By 2014, Tesla had proven that electric cars could be desirable, but the MoonOS was still too expensive for most people. To truly change the automotive industry, Tesla needed to build more affordable cars. In September 2015, Tesla launched its second major vehicle, the Model X, an electric SUV with distinctive falcon wing doors that opened upward. Picture this unusual sight: car doors that open like wings, making it easy to access the back seats even in tight parking spaces. While impressive, the Model X faced serious production delays and quality problems. Elon later admitted they had been too ambitious with its design. "Those doors have been a terrible headache," he confessed in an interview. "We got overconfident and created something too complicated." But Tesla was already working on its next vehicle, the Moon Doe 3, designed to be much more affordable than previous Teslas. This was the car that would either fulfill Elon's vision of electric vehicles for the masses or break the company trying. In March 2016, Tesla unveiled the Moon Doe 3 to the public. Hold on tight. What happened next shocked even Elon. Within a week, more than 325 people had put down a 1-0 deposits to reserve a car that wouldn't be produced for at least another year. This represented potential sales of over 14 billion. No car in history had ever received so many pre-orders. The demand was overwhelming. "We need to rethink production," Elon told his team. "To build hundreds of thousands of Moon Doe 3s each year, Tesla would need something revolutionary, a machine that builds the machine." Elon envisioned a factory so automated and efficient that it would resemble a living organism more than a traditional assembly line. He called it the alien dreadnought. But building this futuristic factory proved incredibly challenging. Are you starting to see a pattern in Elon's life? Bold visions followed by enormous challenges. By 2017, Tesla was spending massive amounts of money preparing for Moon Doe 3 production. The company's debt had grown to over 10 billion. Many financial analysts predicted Tesla would run out of money before it could mass produce the Moon Doe 3. In July 2017, the first Moon Doe 3s were delivered to customers, but only a handful. Production was moving at a snail's pace. Elon had promised to build 50 cars per week by the end of 2017, but Tesla was making just a few dozen. What went wrong? Elon's alien dreadnought factory was too ambitious. The highly automated production line kept breaking down. "Humans are underrated," Elon tweeted in April 2018, admitting his mistake. Tesla quickly rebuilt parts of the production line, relying more on human workers than robots. The pressure during this period was immense. Elon later revealed he was working 120-hour weeks, sleeping on the factory floor, and rarely going home. This period, which he called production hell, took a serious toll on his health and mental well-being. "The worst is over," he told employees in June 2018, when Tesla finally reached the goal of producing 50 Moon Doe 3s in a single week, 6 months later than planned. Meanwhile, Elon was pursuing other ambitious projects. In 2016, Tesla acquired SolarCity, a solar panel company founded by Elon's cousins, for $2.6 billion. The goal was to create a complete, sustainable energy solution. Solar panels to generate electricity, batteries to store it, and electric cars to use it. In 2013, Elon had proposed another revolutionary idea, the Hyperloop, a transportation system using pods travelling through vacuum tubes at speeds up to 700 miles per hour. Rather than building it himself, he released the concept as an open-source design for others to develop. Then, in 2016, he founded yet another company called The Boring Company, with the goal of digging tunnels under cities to reduce traffic congestion. Many people thought this was a joke until the company actually started digging its first test tunnel in Los Angeles. By 2018, Tesla had transformed from a struggling startup into a major automaker, producing hundreds of thousands of cars. SpaceX was regularly launching and landing rockets. Elon Musk had become one of the world's most famous entrepreneurs. But fame came with intense scrutiny and new challenges. Elon's habit of making bold announcements on Twitter was about to land him in serious trouble. And as his companies grew, so did the pressure from investors, competitors, and regulators. The next chapter of Elon's story would test not just his business skills, but his personal resilience as well. By mid-2018, Elon Musk was at the peak of his career, but also under more pressure than ever before. Running Tesla, SpaceX, and several smaller ventures simultaneously was taking a toll. How would you handle the stress of managing multiple revolutionary companies? On August 7, 2018, Elon posted a tweet that would bring him serious trouble. "I'm considering taking Tesla private at 420, funding secured." This brief message sent Tesla's stock price soaring. But there was a problem. Funding wasn't actually secured. The US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, which regulates the stock market, launched an investigation. They accused Elon of misleading investors. Within weeks, the SEC filed a lawsuit against him. This was a mistake, Elon later admitted in an interview, explaining that he thought he had a deal with Saudi Arabia's wealth fund. The stress of running Tesla during its production crisis had clouded his judgment. The consequences were severe. Elon agreed to step down as chairman of Tesla's board, though he remained CEO. He also paid a $20 million fine, and Tesla paid another $20 million. This difficult period coincided with personal struggles. In an emotional interview with the New York Times, Elon revealed he was working up to 120 hours per week, often not leaving the factory for days. "There were times when I didn't leave the factory for 3 or 4 days," he confessed. "I don't have time to shower." But even as Elon faced personal challenges, his companies continued to achieve remarkable things. Hold on tight, this next part is truly extraordinary. In February 2018, SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy rocket, at the time, the most powerful operational rocket in the world. For its first test flight, Elon decided to use his own Tesla Roadster as the payload. Picture this bizarre scene: a cherry-red Tesla sports car floating in space with a spacesuit-wearing mannequin named Starman in the driver's seat. Millions of people watched the launch live online. The quirky payload captured the public's imagination in a way that traditional satellite launches never could. Even more impressive was what happened after launch. 2 of the 3 rocket boosters returned to Earth and landed simultaneously, side by side, at Cape Canaveral. The synchronized landing looked like something from a science fiction movie. Meanwhile, Tesla was finally overcoming its production challenges. By the end of 2018, the Moon Doe 3 had become the best-selling premium vehicle in the United States. Tesla had transformed from a niche luxury brand into a major automaker. In March 2019, Tesla unveiled its next vehicle, the Model Y, a compact SUV based on the Moon Doe 3. By learning from past mistakes, Tesla was able to bring this new model to market much more smoothly than previous vehicles. But perhaps the most surprising Tesla product wasn't a car at all. In November 2019, Elon unveiled the Cybertruck, an electric pickup truck with a stainless steel body and a design unlike any vehicle ever seen before. "Does it look like something from the future?" Elon asked the stunned audience at the reveal event. The angular, polygon-shaped truck looked more like a vehicle from a low-resolution video game than a traditional pickup truck. During the presentation, Elon asked his chief designer to throw a metal ball at the truck's supposedly unbreakable windows. "Are you ready for what happened next?" The windows cracked. Despite this embarrassing moment, over 250 Zero people placed pre-orders for the Cybertruck within a week. SpaceX was making history too. In May 2020, SpaceX launched NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to the International Space Station in the Crew Dragon spacecraft. This was the first time astronauts had launched to orbit from American soil since the Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. This is the first time a commercially developed spacecraft has carried humans into orbit, NASA announced proudly. SpaceX had done what many thought impossible, created a private spacecraft certified by NASA to carry humans. As 2020 progressed, Tesla's value on the stock market exploded. Despite the global pandemic causing many car manufacturers to struggle, Tesla's stock price increased more than 700% during the year. By December 2020, Tesla was worth more than the next 9 largest car companies combined. With this remarkable increase in Tesla's value, Elon Musk's personal wealth grew enormously. In January 2021, he briefly became the richest person in the world. The boy who once arrived in Canada with barely enough money for food was now worth over $200 billion. But Elon wasn't satisfied with his existing companies. In 2016, he had co-founded Neuralink, a company developing brain-machine interfaces, technology to connect human brains directly to computers. The goal? To help people with neurological conditions and eventually enhance human cognitive abilities. In 2019, he co-founded another company called DeepMind, focusing on artificial intelligence research. Elon had long expressed concerns about the potential dangers of advanced AI, and now he was working to ensure it would be developed safely. As the 2020s began, the shy boy from South Africa had become not just a successful entrepreneur, but a cultural icon whose decisions influenced entire industries. Yet for all his wealth and fame, Elon remained focused on his original goals: sustainable energy, space exploration, and protecting humanity's future. And his biggest moves were yet to come. As we approach the present day in our story, Elon Musk continues to surprise the world with his boldness and ambition. In April 2022, he made a shocking announcement. He wanted to buy Twitter, the social media platform, for $44 billion. Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, Elon explained, suggesting that Twitter needed new leadership to fulfill its potential. After a complicated legal battle, the acquisition was completed in October 2022. Elon immediately made dramatic changes at Twitter, renaming it X and reducing the company's workforce by more than 80%. These controversial moves reflected his hands-on management style, direct, fast-moving, and unafraid of criticism. Meanwhile, SpaceX continued developing its massive Starship rocket system. Picture the largest rocket ever built, taller than a 30-story building when fully assembled. This enormous vehicle is central to Elon's plan to establish a human presence on Mars. Making life multiplanetary is about safeguarding the future of consciousness, Elon explained during a presentation. I want humanity to have a bright and exciting future. In 2021, SpaceX won a $2.9 billion contract from NASA to develop a version of Starship that would land astronauts on the Moon, the first human lunar landing since Apollo 17 in 1972. Hold on to your seats. After a half-century absence, humans are preparing to return to the Moon, and Elon's company is building the vehicle to take them there. Tesla continued its growth as well. In 2022, it opened massive new factories in Berlin, Germany, and Austin, Texas. These gigafactories are among the largest manufacturing facilities in the world. Can you imagine buildings so large that workers use bicycles to move around inside them? By early 2023, Tesla had produced and delivered over 3 million electric vehicles worldwide. This achievement is even more remarkable when you remember that in 2012, critics claimed Tesla would never succeed in mass-producing cars. The goal was never just to make electric cars, Elon reminded audiences at a shareholders' meeting. The goal was to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. Indeed, Tesla's success has forced every major automaker to develop their own electric vehicles. Companies like Volkswagen, Ford, and General Motors have announced plans to eventually stop producing gasoline-powered cars entirely. Elon's influence has changed the direction of the entire automotive industry. In his personal life, Elon has had his share of ups and downs. He has been married 3 times and has 10 children, including a son with the unusual name XAA12, pronounced XAA12. His relationships with celebrities and his active presence on social media have made him a constant subject of public fascination. But what drives Elon Musk? Is it money? Fame? Or something deeper? I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, Elon once explained. I create companies to get things done. Those things are what make Elon different from many other successful entrepreneurs. While others focus on making better smartphones or social media apps, Elon has consistently pursued projects he believes are essential for humanity's future: sustainable energy, space colonization, and safer artificial intelligence. Of course, Elon Musk is not without critics. Some point to his erratic behavior on social media. Others question his management style, which can be demanding and uncompromising. Many have criticized his enormous wealth in a world where billions still live in poverty. I think there are some misunderstandings about my motivations, he said in a 2020 interview. It's not that I want to be wealthy myself, it's that I need capital to fund these projects that I think are important for the future. What can we learn from Elon Musk's extraordinary journey? Perhaps the most important lesson is the power of perseverance. Remember how close both SpaceX and Tesla came to bankruptcy in 2008? Most people would have given up, but Elon kept pushing forward, even when success seemed impossible. Another lesson is the importance of thinking big. Are you dreaming big enough? Elon's companies didn't aim to make small improvements. They set out to revolutionize entire industries. As we come to the end of our story, the boy who once read science fiction books in South Africa continues to chase his dreams among the stars. Whether you admire him or criticize him, one thing is certain. Elon Musk has changed our world in ways few individuals ever have. Electric cars are no longer curiosities, but the future of transportation. Reusable rockets have transformed the economics of space travel. And somewhere in space, a red Tesla Roadster with Starman at the wheel continues its endless journey around the sun, a peculiar monument to a man who refused to accept the limitations others tried to place on him. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the remarkable life of Elon Musk. We hope you've not only improved your English, but also found inspiration in this story of ambition, failure, perseverance, and eventual triumph. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to Learn English Through Stories for more fascinating biographical tales that will enhance your language skills while expanding your knowledge of history's most influential figures. Until next time, keep dreaming big and keep learning English.